welcome to the Bullcast Podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me today is Cam the Man.
I'm back.
What is the market, and why is it different than the economy? Before we talked about the economy, because that is the ultimate jargon. Same thing with the market. How many times does somebody go, oh, well, the market is doing this, the market's doing that? Now, we've talked about the stock market. We've talked about different components like that. We told you about what it means when you hear the economy and why it affects you, why it's important to be aware of it. But now we're going to talk about the economy.
We already talked about the economy, and we're going to talk about the market today.
So
now, I think with most people, I could be wrong, but I think that certainly before I got involved in finance and financial study and so forth, I thought of the market basically as the Dow.
Yeah.
That's what I
in my mind.
Yeah, the market goes up, the market goes down, and you look at the Dow.
Yes.
And so, talking about this, a lot of times market and economy are interchangeable. It's not the same thing. In fact, one of the biggest misconceptions in finance is that a good stock market means a good economy or vice versa.
Yes.
They do not move in sync together. Like that is not, just go ahead and debunk that completely from your brain. Which TV characters would make the best and the worst investors?
Gus Fring. Either of you seen Breaking Bad?
I haven't seen all of it. I've seen most of it.
I have seen it.
Okay. Gus is like...
Which one is Gus?
He's the ultimate bad guy in the series.
Yeah.
He is the kingpin. He runs the fried chicken joint.
Okay.
Which is a front. And he is very calm and cool and quiet, but he's also terrifying. He can kill you in a second if he wants to.
Yes.
But yes, he's patient, disciplined, and thinks long term, which could mean he's a good investment client.
Indeed.
Okay, what about Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones? Very strategic, focused on legacy, and always thinks several moves ahead. That is so true with Tywin.
And dies in a horrific way.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
So did Gus Fring. We've got some bad deaths on this list.
Indeed. Okay. The third on the list is for court, apparently, because it's Hermione Granger. Harry Potter, obviously. Does her research, reads everything, doesn't chase trends. She's very smart. She could have been in Ravenclaw, if we're being honest.
Leviosa.
Sounds like she doesn't pay attention to the noise, which is what we've talked about before. And actually, your brother came by and was giving me a little tidbit talking about Steve Jobs and how people were talking about that Steve Jobs was not a good person to work for, that he was very mean, but that he very much focused on, like we're doing, quit paying attention to the noise, which is also Michael Phelps, focused on his lane. Nobody else's. So that's a key. These three individuals that are going to be the best, they're focusing on what they're doing. They're thinking steps ahead. They're not paying attention to what everybody else is doing.
Now to the bottom of the barrel, the worst investors. I feel like, I know you haven't seen it, but most people have seen The Office.
Yes.
The boss on The Office, Michael Scott, would make a terrible investor. He falls for every hot tip, invests emotionally, and would most likely buy a stock because the logo looks cool. The man burned his foot on a George Foreman grill. He's an idiot. A very lovable idiot.
So Kramer from Seinfeld, constantly chasing the next big thing, zero due diligence. I mean, just a maniac, probably whenever for
probably impulsive investing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely impulsive investing. I mean, he turned his apartment into a cigar lounge once.
Yep.
The guy is crazy. So terrible, I'm sure, investor.
Okay, what about Joey Tribbiani from Friends? Makes decisions based on instinct, doesn't ask questions. Yeah, I mean, Joey's so lovable, but he would not make very good decisions. He was a little not smart. I don't want to say dumb, but he was not smart with stuff and very gullible. So he may be prey to manipulation. And if somebody told him to buy something, he'd be like, yeah, I like that, dude. Let's buy it. I also feel like he would think something sounds cool and he'd buy it.
He'd be susceptible to a pyramid scheme, which we talked about a few episodes ago.
I know it's not a thing anymore. You probably don't even have any sort of recollection of this. But back in the late 90s, when I was in the workforce at my first job, I used to regularly get calls from guys in the boiler room, the stock sellers, like the Wolf of Wall Street selling penny stocks or something like that. I used to regularly get those calls, and I would just be like, nah, whatever, thanks, go away, bye.
Just cold calls and going through the Rolodex.
Yeah.
Not even Rolodex.
I don't even know how my number landed on their radar, but they would call me at work and, try and pitch me on buying some stock or whatever.
That's crazy.
Joey would have he would fall victim to that most definitely. He'd be like, yeah, no, that sounds great. I can.
I prefer a cold call of a stockbroker than what we have these days. I got a text this morning from spam, like unknown number spam. It's just like, good morning, sweetie. How did you sleep last night?
Ooh, wow.
I know.
I do like the feature on my iPhone now that when I swipe to delete a text from somebody it says, do you want to delete or do you want to delete and report this as spam?
Yep.
And I'm like, yes.
That's what I do.
Every time.
I mean, it's gotten crazy.
Yeah.
It has gotten absolutely crazy.
So what is?
Before we begin, may I say, I like your dress. I think Rapunzel. Is that intentional?
Thank you.
Like, I
could go with
We can
Rapunzel.
keep going, but I got to pull up a picture
No,
of
I mean, Rapunzel
Tangled.
wore the lavender tangle. Yeah. So it's definitely the lavender colors. Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
The sleeves, like gentle puff. It looks good.
Yeah. Thank you. What is the market, Jeopardy?
Talked about the stock market before. Specifically, we talked about the origins of the New York Stock Exchange. So that's a market.
So the stock market is a place where investors buy and sell ownership in companies. Because yes, remember, when you buy stock, you are buying ownership. When you buy stock in Apple, Disney, or Coca-Cola, you're buying a tiny piece of that company. Now, it doesn't mean you can go walk into Disney and be like, I'm an owner. I can do this.
So in the most basic way, the market is just where the ownership shares are traded. People pass them around.
Passing them back and forth. You think if a stock is worth buying, someone else thinks it's worth selling. The market is where transactions happen. So, it's where the movie happened. It's where the magic happens. All
it's
of it.
the room where it happened.
It is. The market is the world's largest prediction game. Vegas for spreadsheets.
Oh, yeah.
Every day, millions of investors are trying to answer one question. What will the future look like?
Yes.
Not how is business today?
Is this company going to grow? Is this company going to succeed? Is this company going to pay me? These are all questions they want answers to, and they try to predict.
How's this business going to look next year? Will consumers keep spending? Will profits grow? Will interest rates fall? So many questions that are being asked. And I think let's go back to that. It is not on what is it doing today. It is really thinking, what are the future trends of this? We do not have a crystal ball, so you do not know that. But that's why when you're picking a stock, you're thinking about the company as a whole and their future potential. Not just, I really like them because J-Law's, promoting them on a commercial right now.
A perfect example of the market versus the economy. I like, why is the market not the economy? Or, why should you not conflate the two? Think about the example of inflation. If the rate of inflation is higher, then it certainly has an impact on the market, but it's really an economic thing. And the Fed is going to try and get that inflation to go down. And what is one of the tools that they use to get inflation to go down? Interest rate, right? And so they'll try and impact interest rates to get higher interest rate to get the inflation rate to go down. Well, a higher interest rate can have a negative impact on the market. That's why you always hear our president talking about how he wants the interest rates to go down, because he wants lower interest rates because it's good for the market. So it's not exactly an inverse relationship between the market and the economy as they relate to interest rates, but it's definitely, there's a different impact on them.
So let's imagine this. Unemployment is low. People are spending money. Businesses are growing. That's good for the economy. We're stimulating the economy. Money's flowing through like crazy.
Yes.
But if investors were expecting even better results, stocks might still fall. So that's what anticipation of what it could be. Everything could still be good, and the markets are reacting differently, which is why when people ask the question, why'd the market drop? It's not a simple, There's many different factors that can pull into why the market is moving one way or the other. And you're looking at those predictions and, did they meet their metrics? Did they meet the expectations? Meanwhile, the economy could be slowing down. But investors think conditions will improve next year. Stocks may rise. Here's a fun example. Think of it like fantasy football. Everybody knows about fantasy football, right?
Sure.
So the economy
is the NFL.
Is actual football happening. The games are happening. The scores are real. The economy is being stimulated because of the concession stands. Jerry Jones happy because there's butts in the seat. The market is fantasy football. Everyone is drafting based on what they think will happen. They're not going to know that Drew Brees is going to get injured, or, Tom Brady is going to not really retire and keep playing. So many different factors. A quarterback can have a great season and still disappoint fantasy owners if expectations were higher. Same thing happens with stocks. I love this comparison. I think a lot of people can relate to that, because there is a difference of, and I think when I first was learning about fantasy football, I was thrown by this, because it's not so much of, why are you upset? Your team won. It's like, well, no, my team, yes, they won, but not based on what I did on my fantasy team. And I'm like, what? Like, oh no, I had a totally different, and I had different players and this. And I'm like, okay, sure. I still personally have never played fantasy football.
Oh, really?
No.
It's fun. Don't ever draft the QB first. That's a rookie mistake.
I'm a terrible fantasy football player.
I'm trash,
I played
too.
for years and years, and I was so bad at it. I finally just gave up on that one.
I like our little analogies. A couple weeks ago, we did the economy, and the analogy was car parts. Remember that? And this
Car
one, the
parts.
market is football, fantasy football.
Yeah. Let's just trying to take these very complicated concepts and trying to bring it back to earth. And it's kind of like the cloud. What is the cloud? It's just up there floating, little particles. Yeah. So.
Okay, what moves the market?
Tell us, Chief Investment Officer.
Oh, God, jeez.
Oh, yeah. We haven't.
we haven't talked about it.
hard launched that title.
It's up everywhere. It's on my door.
On our Bullycast world.
Yeah, that's true. No, we have not.
We have not hard launched that.
Court has a new title.
Yeah.
Chief
Yeah,
Investment
I
Officer,
got
and
it.
he's killing it.
I got a new title. Golly, that was
Beginning of this year?
well. I mean, it was certainly not the idea. It was a promotion. The promotion was floated at the beginning of the year. Nothing got really finalized really until I think really probably June. It took about 5 months for us to get everything in terms of what I was going to be doing and all of that stuff. Sort of.
So what are you doing?
That is a topic for another podcast because there's a lot of really, really boring detail that I could get into. But
Do you just have like Yahoo Finance pulled up 24/7?
yeah, I have the Wall Street Journal, Yahoo Finance, Morningstar. I have
So you're knee deep into the market
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
Yes, that's where, I'll simplify it. He is now becoming my go-to of what's going on, keep feeding me information about what are the trends we need to be looking for, what's going on with the market. So he has kind of become my Google search of like consolidating everything I need to know about the market so I can relate to our clients and then looking at what's going on. And it's thanks to you doing a lot of education, passing some tests,
yes.
and moving into this role to then really become our chief investment officer.
Yeah, and it's something that is project in progress, I think.
It's evolving.
Yeah. I'm still learning a lot about this particular position and a lot about different things, but it ultimately just means that the clients will have more tools to use. Right now, you might be coming to me, but I still go to David a lot and ask him questions. So,
yeah, I mean, knowledge is power and experience. David's been doing this for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
And so he has seen a lot over his years with market. And you can never look at past market performance and see that it's going to repeat itself because history doesn't always repeat itself.
Right.
But you can definitely learn from them and seeing different trends.
Sure.
And so that is one of those that here at Pickler, we're just trying to continue to better ourselves, making sure we've got the up-to-date most research, the in-house. Now having you in-house doing this, then we're even more elevated on making sure we're staying up to date with what's going on with the economy, the market. So then we're in our fantasy football world. We're able to then make sure we're guiding our clients to pick the right players as they draft their fantasy football team.
It's funny, and then we'll get back to the topic at hand, the market. But I will point out, I'm frequently amused. I spend a ton of time every day and nights too when I'm sitting at home just scouring the news for information that I think that David and Katie might find useful. And I find a lot of really great nuggets. 9 times out of 10, when I find something and I'm really excited about it, David already knows. So, like I said, it's evolving. But okay, so what moves the market? There are a lot of things that move the market. There are a lot of things that change stock price. And of course, when stocks go up or go down, the market goes up or goes down. So let's talk about what impacts not just the market, but particular companies' stock price. Obviously, company earnings. The market is going to be impacted by interest rates, as I already mentioned. It's going to be impacted by inflation, as I already mentioned. We did a whole episode on the reports that you should pay attention to. Consumer spending, when that report comes out, it's going to have an effect on the market. And then obviously, there are some other things that go into it, like if there's big news, the war in Iran, or the Strait of Hormuz is going to open or it's going to stay closed. The war in Iran is going to end.
Large IPO happens.
A large IPO happens and everybody is glued to see what's going to happen. We are going to do, I hope we have enough material to do an entire episode on what a trillion is.
I was just about to say.
I was going to say, you were just telling us that. So I think we just put a pin in that because that was very fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think we can really dive into doing this episode maybe next week because we'll be a little bit removed from the IPO announcement of SpaceX.
Right.
We can talk specifically about Trillion. We can talk about what happened with this and kind of everything around that.
Yeah.
The other thing is the investor emotion. And I love this. Sometimes the market moves because people are excited, nervous, greedy, or fearful. I also found this line, which I think is hilarious. The market is the collective mood swing of millions of investors. Imagine every fan on the internet voting every second on whether they're excited or terrified about the future. The results is the market. I mean, that's true. You think about it. Everybody a part of it. Some fun pop culture analogies for the market, like the the Force in Star Wars. Everyone talks about it. Nobody fully controls it, and it influences everybody. Like the stock ticker version of the Hulk, calm 1 minute, smashing things the next. Like social media trends, when everyone is optimistic, prices rise. When everyone panics, prices fall. Like a giant group chat with trillions of dollars in it, every headline, rumor, and earnings report gets debated instantly, and the group's opinion shows up in price.
Yes, the market responds very quickly to news. I mean, I won't get into the boring detail of it, but one of the theories about market responses is the idea that stocks and stock prices and the market and up or down, there's this idea, the theory is about market efficiency and how efficient is the market and how does the market respond to different trends and different news and different information. And there's weak market efficiency, there's strong market efficiency, and the idea is how does the market respond to news? Does it respond immediately when something happens? Does it have full knowledge of all public information? Does it respond with full knowledge of all private information? That would be the strongest market efficiency if the market's actually responding to all information, public and private. But generally, it is agreed by most that at an absolute minimum, the market is a reflection of public information. If the information is public, then the market has factored that information in. Company stock price, that information has been factored in. If it is public, it is known, and the market has responded. And so that's kind of, at first, when I first started learning about that concept, it was kind of like, well, how can it be so immediate? How could it possibly just boom, done, it's known, and therefore the market has incorporated the information? But if you watch it, it happens. It's the way the market responds.
When the Fed chair's talking and watch the market move, the market is kind of like an irrational toddler. Mm-hmm. It's, think about that of the sour and sweet, Sour Patch Kids, like sour and sweet. It can just be up and down. But this one also says the market is one giant dramatic character reacting to the plot twist of the economy. And it's true. That's something I've often told a lot of my clients is there's the difference of understanding the markets and understanding why they're moving and what they're doing, but then also having a plan in place that is not trying to keep up with the constant up and down. Because, for instance, we're a firm that is very deeply rooted in planning and making sure that we're looking at not just how can I get you rich quick today, but how can we make sure that you're in alignment to pay for college, to retire, to buy a house, to do different goals. And so a lot of our time is spent during the day having meetings with clients and talking to them about very deep conversations and good, bad, indifferent, telling them they're spending too much money, they're not spending enough, they need to reallocate. And so we are not a firm that is constantly going to be glued to watching the stock market every single second. And so there has been times where I've been in back-to-back meetings and then the market's done something and I've had a new client walk in and like, oh, well, did you see what the market just did 5 minutes ago? And it's like,
no, I didn't. I've been doing something else.
No, I didn't. And then I have to, quickly pull up my phone and then try and go, okay, what happened with this? But that's the difference that we talked about before, knowing the noise and knowing just like staying focused, because there is a lot of noise out there that can cause those fictitious ups and downs. And is it real or is it fake? And because things are moving so quickly now compared to before, it took a while for things to move.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know who Warren Buffett is, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's familiar with Warren Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett's cousin?
Yeah. No, Warren Buffett's one of the richest men. He's definitely up there. We now know for sure that Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, but Warren Buffett's no chump, right? And he made his fortune investing. So he's one of the greats in terms of, like, if he were a fictional character, he'd be at the top of the list of great fictional character investors. And he's real.
And he's the guy that started Berkshire Hathaway, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
Good
Cameron
job.
with the knowledge. Fantastic. Okay, so he once said, and I'm going to quote him exactly here, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Because long-term investors are going to generally benefit from an ability to, as you said, ignore the daily noise. You're in it for the long haul. You're playing the long game.
Yeah. And that's where, going back to that marketing piece, Cam, that you and David put together on how to survive a bear attack, talking about a bear market. And it's all just, what's your plan? Stick to your plan and try and drown out the noise around you, because that's what you got to do. You cannot cannot get sucked into everything else. And I know I said it before, but a lot, Steve Jobs, Michael Phelps, and I'm sure there's many other people. If you just stay focused on what you can control, what you're doing, and you stop worrying about everybody else, because if you're focusing on this is production, this is what we're doing, this is what I'm going to be doing, but then you're over here and you're like, oh, but it looks like Cam's moving faster than me and Cam's doing better. But it could be that Cam skipped to step D and, he's now got to go backwards and he bypassed A, B, and C. Who knows what it is, but we all know we've done that. Like even fun things. Like we several years ago did a gingerbread competition and I was judging and I could see the group, they start looking over, oh my gosh, they've got a full structure built, and they got fast and they got sloppy and their structure started breaking. And then, it is simple to say, quit paying attention to the noise, but it's very hard to do.
Oh, yeah,
because
definitely.
It is thrown in your face 24/7. And
we live in a society that is nothing but noise, it seems like.
And that's where you've got to have trust with whoever you're working with. You've got to feel confident that you have a solid plan. Number one, that you understand, and so that you are not manipulated or influenced by others saying, are you not freaking out? We've been very blessed over the years to have heard some clients that have said, I'm not worried unless y'all are worried. And they've built up that confidence with us. But that is something we never ever take for granted. It is something we continue every day to strive and make sure that we're doing our job, which is why, again, Court's moved into this role, because we found a need that we needed to really continue to better ourselves in this field.
Yeah, I think that, well, first of all, side note, I think we probably ought to do an episode on Warren Buffett.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
I think that would be fun.
That needs to be for sure. Who he is, how he got started. That's a jargon in its own. Warren Buffett.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, oh, yeah, Warren Buffett. But do they really know who Warren Buffett is?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've thrown out a couple of little things that we're assuming just everybody knows today. I know I've said a couple of things where I'm like, back in the day, I probably would have gotten jargon violation on that.
Yeah.
But,
that Warren Buffett episode, the list will be the best buffets in the country. I need to say something, get something off my chest.
Oh, okay. Lord.
When we were talking about our cosmonaut, Elon Musk, you said how you were like, 1 trillion is a lot, and I have to look up stats, and I have to get it off my chest how large it is. I know we're going to talk about it in the future. It's going to be a future episode, but let me give you one stat real quick. If you stacked $1 trillion US, the tower would reach 67,866 miles into space. Miles.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. Katie, a very similar stat, except it was pennies. And I guess pennies are a little thicker than $1.
Yeah.
So, and I'll go ahead and just spoiler this now instead of saving it for the trillion episode, but 1 million pennies stacked one on top of another is about 1 mile high. Taller than the Empire State Building, but still in our atmosphere. If you were to take 1 billion pennies and stack them and then turn them on their side, they would reach all the way from New York to Florida. So I don't know how many thousands of miles that is, but thousands of miles. 1 trillion pennies stacked one on top of the other would go all the way to the moon and
crazy.
back.
Because initially you think million, billion, and trillion, they're just like neighbors, kind of incremental.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work that way at all.
Yeah, no. Because 1 trillion is what? It's 999 billions. Or I guess really it's 1,000 billions. So, I mean, I was thinking in terms of like 999 billion. The next thing up is a trillion. It's 1,000
99
trillions.
bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer.
Jesus.
We need to get the market. Hopefully now after this episode and before, you understand a little bit more about the economy, the market, and you can just look at your friend next time they're like, oh, the market. Be like, that's just noise, bro. I'm focusing on what I got. Maybe not say bro. I don't know if people say bro anymore. So the economy tells us how things are doing today. The market tells us what investors think might happen tomorrow. Again, think fantasy football versus real football. Think about, kind of these different analogies we've given about, people voting, things like that, all of it. That's why the market and the economy can sometimes tell two different stories. And again, as Court said, this does not mean they're always opposite, doesn't mean they're always in sync. And so that's where it's just they move at their own beat. And it is important to be aware of what the economy is doing and what the market's doing, but they both could be doing totally different things.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that bell? That was the closing bell. You have made it to the end of yet another episode of the Bullcast Podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast delivered directly to your device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cortland, Katie, Cameron, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures up there. We've got our bios. You can read about us. And we've got a place where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. out, but I mentioned pictures. We do have pictures on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @BullcastPodcast. We also have an X handle, which is also @BullcastPodcast. And rounding out the social media, we have a Facebook page, which is Bullcast the Podcast. So feel free to interact with us there. As I like to do, let me remind every one of our listeners that Katie, Cameron, Nicole, and I all work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you would like to find out even more about us, or find out about what we do, find out about what we could do for you, or find out about our amazing team, or find out about our boss, David Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That website is picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have given you everything you need for your little piggies to go to market. So for now, I'm Court.
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
And we're done.